The mocking empire, the crystalline throne room of the Velthan Empire, stretched for nearly a kilometer, its walls adorned with the banners of 40,000 conquered worlds. Emperor Kithara sat upon his seat of power, a being of terrible beauty, with silver skin and eyes that burned like dying stars. His forearms gestured lazily as he reviewed reports from across his vast domain. For 2,000 years, his empire had been the undisputed master of the galaxy, crushing any species that dared to resist their rule. My emperor, General Vorthik approached with measured steps, his massive frame encased in ceremonial armor that gleamed with the light of 1,000 victories. The humans have responded to our ultimatum. Kithara's laugh was like breaking glass. Responded? These primitives who only learned to travel between stars a mere century ago? What could they possibly say that would interest us? He waved a dismissive hand, causing holographic displays to flicker to life around the throne room. Images of Earth and its modest colonies appeared, showing cities of gleaming metal and glass, orbital stations, and what appeared to be a small fleet of warships. They have refused our terms, my lord, Vorthik reported, his voice carrying a mixture of surprise and amusement. Their representative, a female called Captain Sarah Chun, transmitted a message stating that humanity will not submit to our rule. The Emperor's eyes narrowed to burning slits. Show me this message. The holographic display shifted, revealing a woman in her mid-30s with short black hair and intelligent brown eyes. She wore the simple blue uniform of the United Earth Defense Force, standing in what appeared to be a modest command center. Her voice was calm and measured as she spoke. Emperor Kithara, I speak for all of humanity when I say that we reject your demands for surrender. We are a free people, and we will remain free. Earth and her colonies will not bow to tyranny, regardless of the consequences. The recording ended, leaving the throne room in stunned silence. Then Kithara began too. Laugh, a sound that echoed through the vast chamber like the roar of a collapsing star. Free people? Free? He rose from his throne, his towering form casting shadows across the room. General, how many ships do our intelligence reports indicate the humans possess? Approximately 250 vessels, my lord. Most are outdated cruisers and frigates. Their technology is at least 5 centuries behind our own. And how many worlds do they control? 17, including their homeworld. Small colonies barely worth the effort of conquest. Kithra's laughter grew louder. 17 worlds against our 40,000. 250 primitive ships against our million-strong armada. And yet they dare to refuse us? He turned to his communication array. Open a channel to all human colonies. Let them hear the words of their emperor. Within moments, the transmission was live, broadcasting across every human settlement in the galaxy. Kithra's image appeared on screens throughout Earth, Mars, Europa, and the outer colonies. His voice boomed with arrogant authority. Humans of the galaxy, hear me well. I am Emperor Kithara, master of 40,000 worlds, commander of 1,000,000 ships, ruler of countless trillions of beings. Your pathetic little species has amused me with its defiance, but amusement has its limits. He paused, letting his words sink in. You have 7 days to reconsider your foolish decision. Surrender unconditionally, and I may allow some of you to live as slaves. Continue this charade of resistance, and I will erase your entire species from existence. Your choice. Humans, choose wisely. The transmission ended, leaving billions of humans across the galaxy to contemplate their fate. But in the depths of the Titan shipyards, hidden within the rings of Saturn, Admiral Marcus Webb was far from despair. A man who had dedicated his life to preparing for this moment stood before a massive observation window, watching as the final components of humanity's greatest secret were put into place. Admiral, Dr. Elena Vasquez approached, her white lab coat pristine, despite the industrial environment around them. The quantum stealth arrays are complete. All 5,000 vessels are equipped and ready. Webb nodded, his weathered face showing. No emotion. He had been preparing for this day for 30 years, ever since humanity first learned of the Veilthan Empire's existence through intercepted transmissions. And the adaptive shielding? Fully operational. The moment their weapons fire upon our ships, our shields will analyze and adapt their energy signatures. By the second volley, their weapons will be effectively useless against us. Excellent. Webb turned to face his chief of staff, Commander Jake Rodriguez, a man whose reputation for tactical brilliance was matched only by his skills as a pilot. Jake, what's the status of our reconnaissance operations? The stealth probes have been monitoring their fleet movements for months, sir. They're assembling what they call a cleansing fleet of 150 warships. They consider it overkill for dealing with our supposed 250 vessels. Webb allowed himself a rare smile. 150 ships against our actual fleet of 5,000. They have no idea what they're walking into. Dr. Vasquez pulled up a holographic display showing the true scope of humanity's military might. The ships were unlike anything seen in the galaxy, sleek vessels that seemed to bend light around them even when their stealth systems were offline. The beauty of quantum stealth technology, she explained, is that it doesn't just hide our ships from sensors. It makes them exist in a state of quantum uncertainty. To their instruments, our vessels literally don't exist until we choose to reveal them. How long before they arrive? Webb asked. 6 days, sir. They're taking their time, confident in their superiority. Webb walked to the center of the command room, where a massive holographic display showed the entire solar system. Red dots marked the positions of the approaching Veilthan fleet, while blue dots showed the locations of Earth's visible ships. But hidden throughout the system, invisible to all sensors, were thousands of green dots representing humanity's true fleet. Gentlemen, lady, Webb addressed his staff. For 30 years we've prepared for this moment. We've built our ships in secret, developed technologies that the Empire can't even comprehend, and trained our crews to perfection. The Veilthan Empire believes we are primitive, weak, and helpless. Today, we turn that arrogance into their greatest weakness. Captain Sarah Chun stood in the Earth Defense Command Center, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Her rejection of the Empire's ultimatum had been broadcast to the galaxy, but few knew that she was far more than a simple diplomat. She was one of Earth's most skilled intelligence operatives, and her calm demeanor in the face of the Empire's threats was carefully calculated. Captain, her aide approached with a data pad, we're receiving reports from across the colonies. Panic levels are rising among the civilian population. That's to be expected, Shun replied. But they don't need to know the full truth yet. Fear will make our eventual victory all the sweeter. She studied the reports coming in from hidden observation posts throughout the galaxy. The Empire's propaganda machine is working overtime. They're broadcasting footage of their mighty fleet to every world they control, ensuring that all their subjects know about humanity's foolish resistance. Ma'am, we're also receiving intelligence from our deep cover operatives within the Empire. Emperor Kithara has declared that humanity's defeat will be broadcast live throughout the galaxy as an example to other species. Chun's smile was cold, perfect. Let them gather their audience. Let every species in the galaxy watch what happens when someone finally stands up to the Empire. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt, Commander Rodriguez piloted his stealth reconnaissance. Ship through the void. The vessel was one of humanity's most advanced craft, capable of observing enemy movements while remaining completely undetectable. Through his ship's sensors, he watched as the Veilthan cleansing fleet approached the outer edge of the solar system. Command, this is Ghost 7, he transmitted on the encrypted channel. I have visual confirmation of the Empire fleet. 150 vessels, just as predicted. They're maintaining standard formation, showing no signs of caution or concern. Copy that, Ghost 7? Came Admiral Webb's reply. What's their estimated time of arrival? 18 hours, sir. They're not even bothering to run silent. Their communications are completely open, and they're broadcasting their approach on all channels. Arrogance, Webb muttered. They want us to know they're coming. They want us to be afraid. Rodriguez grinned as he maneuvered his ship to get a better view of the approaching fleet. Sir, you should hear some of their internal communications. They're making jokes about human bravery and placing bets on how quickly we'll surrender once they enter the system. Let them laugh, Webb replied. In 18 hours, we'll see who has the last laugh. Back on Earth, the final preparations were being made. In hidden facilities across the planet, the last of humanity's secret weapons were being activated. Orbital defense platforms that had been disguised as research stations powered up their true weapon systems. Ground-based installations that appeared to be civilian infrastructure revealed their military purpose. Dr. Vasquez stood in her laboratory, making final adjustments to the quantum communication array that would coordinate the entire human fleet. The synchronization is perfect, she reported to Admiral Webb. Every ship will receive the activation signal simultaneously, regardless of their position in the system. And the timing? Precise to the nanosecond. When you give the word, sir, our entire fleet will decloak at once. The psychological impact alone should be devastating. Webb nodded and opened a secure channel to Captain Chun. Sarah, are you ready to make the performance of a lifetime? Always, Marcus. When the time comes, I'll give them a surrender speech. They'll never forget. The stage was set. The Veilthan Empire, drunk on their own power and convinced of human weakness, was walking into the most elaborate trap in galactic history. They believed they were coming to witness the execution of a defiant species. Instead, they were about to discover that humanity had been preparing for this moment since the day they first learned of the Empire's existence. The countdown had begun. In less than 18 hours, the galaxy would witness something unprecedented. The humbling of the mighty Veilthan Empire by a species they had dismissed as primitive and weak. The humans were about to teach the universe a lesson about the dangers of underestimating one's enemies. The Empire had mocked Earth for the last time. Asterisk, the revelation and victory, the Veilthan cleansing. Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system with all the majesty and terror that had crushed 1,000 worlds. 150 massive warships materialized in perfect formation, their dark hulls gleaming with the promise of destruction. Each vessel was a kilometer long, bristling with weapons that could crack continents and shields that had never been breached. General Vorthik stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Domination, watching the primitive human system spread out before him on the tactical display. Pathetic, he muttered, studying the readings. Their entire fleet appears to be concentrated around their homeworld. 237 vessels, just as our intelligence predicted. General, his tactical officer reported, the humans are broadcasting a message on all frequencies. The main screen flickered to life, showing Captain Sarah Chun once again. This time, however, her composure seemed cracked. Her face was pale, her hands shaking slightly as she spoke. General Vorthik, I speak for the United Earth Defense Force. We ... We wish to discuss terms of surrender. Vorthik's laughter boomed across the bridge. Terms? You are in no position to negotiate terms, human. You will surrender unconditionally, or we will reduce your worlds to ash and dust. Please, Sean continued, her voice breaking. We have families, children. We never meant to offend the great empire. We're just a small young species trying to survive. Surely we can reach some accommodation. The time for accommodation has passed, Vorthik replied coldly. You had your chance to surrender with dignity. Now you will surrender in fear, or you will die. He cut the transmission and turned to his fleet commanders. All ships, advance on the human homeworld. Prepare to engage their pitiful fleet. The Veilthan Armada began its advance, moving with the slow, deliberate pace of inevitable doom. They had done this 1,000 times before, and the result was always the same. The enemy would make a few desperate attacks. Their weapons would prove useless against Veilthan shields, and within hours, another species would be brought to heel. But Commander Jake Rodriguez, watching from his hidden position in the asteroid belt, was smiling. Command, this is Ghost 7. The Empire fleet is advancing exactly as predicted. They're maintaining parade formation, showing no tactical awareness whatsoever. Copy that, Ghost 7, Admiral Webb replied from his command center deep within Titan. All units, prepare for Operation Ghostwing. Stand by for the signal. Throughout the solar system, 5,000 human warships hung in quantum stealth, invisible to every sensor the Empire possessed. They had been positioned with mathematical precision, surrounding the advancing Veilthan fleet in a sphere of death that the enemy couldn't even detect. On Earth, Captain Shun watched the approaching fleet with satisfaction. Her performance had been flawless, playing the role of the terrified diplomat to perfection. The Empire's arrogance had blinded them to the possibility that humanity might be capable of deception on such a scale. Ma'am, her aide whispered, Admiral Webb is requesting final confirmation. Chun nodded, then opened a secure channel. Marcus, they've taken the bait completely. Emperor Cathara is probably watching this live, expecting to see our complete humiliation. Then let's not disappoint him, Webb replied. Sarah, when I give the signal, you know what to do. The Veilthan fleet continued its advance, now only hours away from Earth. General Vorthik was already composing his victory message to the Emperor when something unexpected happened. The human fleet began to scatter, their ships breaking formation and fleeing in apparent panic. Sir, the tactical officer reported, the human vessels are retreating at maximum speed. They're heading for the outer system. Vorthik sneered. Cowards. They won't even fight for their own homeworld. Signal the Emperor that the conquest is proceeding ahead of schedule. The humans are fleeing without firing a single shot. Across the galaxy, Emperor Cathara received the message with dark satisfaction. He had ordered the entire conquest to be broadcast live to every world in the Empire, a demonstration of what happened to those who dared to resist. Billions of beings watched as the human fleet fled from the approaching Veilthan Armada. Behold, Cathara announced to his assembled court the fate of all who oppose the Empire. These humans spoke bravely of freedom and defiance, but when faced with true power, they run like frightened animals. Let this be a lesson to any who might harbor thoughts of rebellion. But in the depths of space, Admiral Webb was counting down the final seconds. All units, this is Fleet Command. Prepare for decloak on my mark. Remember, we get one chance to make this count. Dr. Vasquez monitored the quantum stealth arrays from her control center. All ships report ready, Admiral. The synchronization is perfect. Ghost 7. What's the status of the Empire fleet? Commander Rodriguez checked his instruments. They're in the center of the engagement zone, sir. Perfect positioning. They have no idea they're surrounded. Webb took a deep breath. 30 years of preparation had led to this moment. All units, execute Operation Ghostwing. Decloak now. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. 5,000. Human warships materialized simultaneously throughout the solar system, their quantum stealth fields dropping away like a curtain being pulled back. The Empire fleet, which moments before had been advancing through empty space, suddenly found themselves surrounded by a force 20 times Their size dot the bridge of the eternal domination erupted in chaos. Alarms blared as sensors that had shown empty space suddenly registered massive energy signatures from every direction. Impossible, Vorthik roared. Where did they come from? His tactical officer was frantically trying to process the sensor. Data. Sir, we're reading approximately 5,000 vessels, all of unknown configuration. They're surrounding us in a perfect sphere formation. 5,000? Vorthik's voice cracked. That's impossible. Our intelligence said they only had 250 ships. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. The main screen lit up once again, but this time, Captain, Chun looked very different. Gone was the terrified diplomat, replaced by a woman whose eyes blazed with cold fire. Behind her, the command center buzzed with activity as dozens of officers coordinated the greatest military operation in human history. General Vorthik, Chun said, her voice now carrying the authority of command. I believe you wanted to discuss terms of surrender. This is some kind of trick, Vorthik snarled. Sensor ghosts, holographic projections. Humans don't have this kind of technology, don't we? Chun smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. You see, General, while your empire has spent 2,000 years conquering primitives and demanding tribute, we've been busy. We've been watching you, learning from you, and preparing for this day. Dr. Vasquez stepped into view behind Chun. Allow me to introduce myself, General. I'm Dr. Elena Vasquez, creator of humanity's quantum stealth technology. Every one of our ships has been here for hours, watching your approach. We could have destroyed your fleet the moment you entered our system. Impossible, Vorthik repeated. But his voice lacked conviction. Your weapons operate on focused Tachyon emission principles, Dr. Vasquez continued. Child's play, really. Our adaptive shielding analyzed your weapon signatures from captured Empire vessels years ago. Your weapons are quite literally useless against us. To demonstrate, Vorthik ordered his fleet to open fire. Thousands of Tachyon beams lanced out from the Empire vessels, striking the nearest human ships. The humans didn't even bother to maneuver. They simply absorbed the attack, their shields adapting and strengthening with each hit. Impossible, Vorthik whispered. The word you're looking for is outclassed. Admiral Webb's voice joined the transmission. General, you're speaking to the commanding officer of the largest fleet in galactic history. We've been preparing for this moment since the day we learned of your empire's existence. Commander Rodriguez's ship decloaked nearby, its sleek hull gleaming in the light of Sol. We've been watching you for months, General. We know your tactics, your formations, your standard operating procedures. We know everything about you, while you know nothing about us. The truth was finally sinking in. The Veilthan Empire, master of 40,000 worlds, had been completely outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The humans hadn't just built a fleet in secret. They had revolutionized military technology itself. Sir, Vorthik's communications officer, reported we're receiving a priority transmission from the Emperor. Emperor Kithra's face appeared on the screen, his silver features twisted with rage and disbelief. Vorthik, what is the meaning of this? Explain how these primitives have produced a fleet larger than our own. My Emperor, Vorthik began, but Captain Chun interrupted. Emperor Cathara, allow me to explain. For 30 years, we've been preparing for this moment. We've built our ships in secret, developed technologies your empire can't even comprehend, and trained our crews to perfection. The Veilthan Empire made a critical error. You underestimated us. This changes nothing, Cathara snarled. We have 1 million ships. We will simply summon more fleets. No, Admiral Webb said quietly. You won't. You see, Emperor, while we've been talking, our quantum communication networks have been busy. Every species you've ever conquered, every world you've enslaved, Every being you've oppressed is receiving the same message. The mighty Velthan Empire has been defeated by a species they mocked as primitive. The implications hit Cathara like a physical blow. Across his empire, rebellions were already beginning. Worlds that had been held in check only by the Empire's reputation for invincibility were declaring independence. The carefully constructed house of cards that was Velthan power was collapsing. "You have a choice, Emperor," Chon continued. "You can withdraw your forces from our space, agree to pay reparations for the worlds you've destroyed, and accept humanity as an equal power in the galaxy. Or you can watch your empire crumble as every oppressed species follows our example." General Vorthik looked at his tactical display, where 5,000 human ships maintained perfect formation around his trapped fleet. Their weapons were powered and ready, but they weren't firing. They were waiting. "Sir," his tactical officer whispered, "our shields are down to 60%. If they attack now... They won't," Vorthik realized. "They're not conquerors. They're liberators." Emperor Kithara's face contorted with rage, but behind the anger, fear was beginning to show. "You cannot defeat the entire empire with one fleet." "We don't need to defeat your entire empire," Webb replied. "We just need to inspire everyone else to do it themselves. And Emperor, this isn't our only fleet. This is just the one we decided to let you see." The final blow came from an unexpected source. Across the galaxy, the Empire's own subjects were watching the live broadcast. They saw the mighty Velthan fleet surrounded and helpless, saw their emperor reduced to making threats he couldn't carry out. The spell of invincibility that had held the empire together for 2 millennia was broken. "Terms," Kithara said finally, the word tasting like poison in his mouth. "Complete withdrawal from human space," Chon stated. "Recognition of humanity as a sovereign power. Reparations for the species you've enslaved. And most importantly, no retaliation against any world that chooses to follow our example." The Emperor's hands clenched into fists, but he nodded slowly. "Agreed. Excellent," Webb said. "General Vorthik, you have 1 hour to withdraw your forces from our system. Don't come back." As the Velthan fleet limped away from Earth, news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. The empire that had ruled for 2,000 years was in retreat, defeated not by superior numbers or greater firepower, but by superior intelligence and careful preparation. Captain Chun stood in the Earth Defense Command Center, watching the retreating Empire fleet on the main screen. "Admiral, do you think they'll honor the agreement?" "They'll have to," Webb replied. "Their own subjects won't let them break it. The galaxy has changed today, Sarah. The age of empires is ending, and the age of freedom is beginning." Dr. Vasquez smiled as she watched the sensor readings. "The quantum stealth technology is already being shared with the liberation movements. Within a year, every oppressed species in the galaxy will have the tools they need to win their freedom." Commander Rodriguez's voice crackled over the comm system. "Command, this is Ghost 7. The Empire fleet has cleared the system. They're retreating at maximum speed. Copy that, Ghost 7. All units, stand down from combat alert. Mission accomplished." The greatest military victory in human history was complete. The species that had been mocked as primitive had proven that intelligence, preparation, and unity could overcome any tyranny. The galaxy would never be the same. And in the depths of space, humanity's hidden fleet began to disperse, carrying with them the promise of freedom to every corner of the galaxy. The Empire had mocked Earth for the last time. Asterisk.